In South Korea, discipline isn't forced, it's lived. From quiet mornings before sunrise to calm, focused days, people follow habits that make laziness impossible. These old routines, shaped by culture and time, turned everyday life into a system of energy, focus, and purpose. This is how an entire nation learned to stay driven without ever needing motivation. In Korea, waking up early isn't just about beating traffic. It's a cultural commandment. The word for dawn is 새벽, which literally translates to new wall. Yesterday's exhaustion hits a brick barrier and can't follow you into today. Go back to the Joseon dynasty, and this wasn't optional. If you showed up late to those early morning royal meetings, you were punished for disrespecting the heavens. Elite scholars preparing for the civil service exam would start studying at 3 in the morning. Buddhist monks from the Jogye order still begin their morning chanting around 3:30. This practice hasn't changed in centuries. They believe the early morning air contains something called jeonggi, which means pure energy. Before the world wakes up, the air has this clarity that sharpens your mind. The school system mirrors this obsession. Morning study periods often start before 7. High school students cramming for the Suneung, the National College Entrance Exam, commonly wake up between 4:30 and 5:30 every single day. A study from Seoul National University in 2018 found that early risers in Korea had a 25% higher rate of consistent daily productivity. Here's where it gets socially brutal. Oversleeping isn't seen as needing rest. It's viewed as a personal failure. Weak self-control. Shame. The body clock isn't personal in Korea. It's social proof. But waking up early is only half the equation. What you do in those first quiet moments matters even more. There's a traditional practice called Jongsin Junghwa, which means mental purification. Before washing your face, before eating breakfast, you clean your mind. Families used to face east, toward where the sun rises, to align themselves with renewal energy. They believed that starting the day with mental clutter would create an energetic blockage, an imbalance of qi. And when your qi is blocked, sluggishness. The traditional tea ceremony, called dari, wasn't about drinking tea. It was mental training, patience, attention, stillness. Every movement had meaning. Confucian teachings emphasized that internal order had to come before external productivity. Early morning silence was the method. No talking, no noise, just sitting with your own mind until it stopped racing. Korea University found that just 10 minutes of morning quiet lowered cortisol by 18%. That's the stress hormone that makes you feel like you're drowning before 9 in the morning. Koreans don't think tiredness makes you lazy. They think emotional heaviness does. You're not avoiding work because you're physically exhausted. You're avoiding it because your mind is a mess. Fix the mind and the body follows. Once your head is clear, the next step is knowing exactly what's expected of you, even when no one says a word. Nunchi translates to I measure. It's the ability to read a room without anyone telling you what's happening. You walk into a space and immediately know who's upset, who's faking a smile, what's not being said out loud. This came from agrarian village life, where survival depended on everyone working together. If you couldn't read the group's mood or anticipate what needed to be done, you were a liability. Nunchi trains you to be constantly alert. You're watching, listening, adjusting. Lacking nunchi is seen as selfish, immature. In Korean workplaces, you're expected to act without being told. Proactive behavior isn't praised as going above and beyond. It's baseline. A study from Seoul University in 2022 found that 78% of surveyed employees felt more motivated when their work visibly helped others, not when they got a bonus, when they saw their effort mattered to someone else. Buddhist monks during the Goryeo era practiced something called nunchi meditation, an exercise in selfless awareness. When you apologize for being tired in Korea, you say mianhaeyo. But it's not really an apology for being tired. It's acknowledging that your tiredness might burden someone else. Korean culture discourages passivity through communal expectation. The social feedback system is always running. And once you've mastered reading the room, the next step is turning your pain into something useful. Han is impossible to translate cleanly. It's grief, but not just sadness. It's perseverance, but not optimism. It's a restrained strength, the emotional weight of survival. Korea's history is brutal: invasions, colonization, war. Han is what you carry when the world keeps kicking you and you refuse to stay down. There used to be rituals called Han Puri, performed by shamans. They dance, play music, scream, stomp. The goal was to release emotional pressure before it destroyed you from the inside. An art form called pansori evolved from this, transforming grief into harmony through storytelling and rhythm. Han doesn't ask you to forget the pain, it asks you to use it. A study from Yonsei University in 2019 found that people who strongly identified with Han showed 30% higher perseverance scores. They could sit with discomfort longer, push through when others quit, not because they felt better, because they'd been trained to convert pain into drive. This is emotional transmutation. You take what's crushing you and turn it into fuel, not by pretending it doesn't hurt, by acknowledging it fully and then refusing to let it stop you. Enduring silently became a sign of personal strength. But Han can be destructive if you never let yourself actually rest. Which brings us to the next habit. Korean culture has something called healing culture. Rest isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about recalibrating, getting yourself back to baseline so you can go harder tomorrow. Take Jjimjilbang, those massive Korean bathhouses. They originated from communal kilns where people would rest near the heat after working. The warmth symbolized purification. Body heat, or ongi, is culturally tied to sincerity and shared energy. In 2015, South Korea's Forest Service created over 100 healing forests. These are recovery programs, mental and physical. Solo hiking, called Honsan, exploded in popularity after 2020. People hike alone, but greet strangers on the trail to exchange positive energy. There's also the slow life movement, structured, purposeful rest. Laziness is defined as unearned or unconscious rest. If you didn't earn it, that's lazy. But if you worked hard and now you're resting with intention, that's productive. Even digital detox cafes reflect this. They replicate traditional monastic silence. No phones, no noise, just quiet recovery. Resting correctly is considered a skill equal to working efficiently. But once you've rested, once you're recharged, the final habit kicks in. Pali Pali translates to quickly, quickly. It's not just a saying, it's a lifestyle, urgency, momentum. This concept exploded during post-war reconstruction. South Korea was flattened after the Korean War. Survival depended on rebuilding speed. Between 1953 and 2003, South Korea's GDP increased 400 times. That's the fastest sustained economic growth in modern history. In early Samsung factories during the 1960s, workplace slogans said, 5 minutes late equals 5 years lost. Efficiency became a moral virtue. Slowness implied negligence. Data from the OECD in 2021 showed that South Korea ranked first among developed nations in task initiation under pressure. When things get stressful, Koreans don't freeze. They start moving. The quick handling culture led to innovations that seem impossible anywhere else. Grocery deliveries in under 15 minutes are normal. The entire infrastructure is built around speed. The social norm is clear. Completion matters more than motivation. You do the task regardless of how you feel. Hesitation is socially penalized. You feel it, the looks, the judgment. So you move, you finish. You don't wait for inspiration or the perfect moment. Because in Korea, momentum isn't just valued, it's survival.